The moment Roman Reigns steps into that ring, the entire WWE landscape shifts and something has to change, because what you're about to discover will shock every wrestling fan watching this right now. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, because this analysis will break down exactly why the Tribal Chief desperately needs a complete transformation that could either make him the greatest wrestler of all time or finish his legacy for good. Roman Reigns has dominated professional wrestling for years with an iron fist, commanding respect through brutal authority and untouchable dominance. His reign as Tribal Chief brought structure and power to everything around him, but lately something feels broken in the machinery of his character. The audience that once hung on his every word now seems disconnected, scrolling through their phones during his promos while competitors from around the world draw more genuine reactions. This isn't about losing his push or stepping back into obscurity. This is about Roman Reigns being stuck in quicksand while the entire industry moves forward without him. When Roman Reigns first stepped into the Tribal Chief role, he represented something revolutionary. He carried the weight of his family legacy and commanded every single person around him with an intensity that felt terrifying and thrilling at the same time. Every interview felt like a statement of war. Every movement in the ring told a story of controlled destruction. Fans couldn't look away because they never knew what version of Roman they would get when he appeared on screen. The mystery kept people glued to their televisions week after week after week. But something shifted gradually over time that nobody wants to admit out loud. Roman Reigns became predictable. His promos follow the same cadence. His matches follow the same pattern. Even when he wins championships, the victory feels inevitable rather than exciting, because everyone already knows he's going to retain that title. There's no real danger anymore. There's no genuine shock value. When you can predict everything someone is going to do before they do it, why would you stay invested in their journey? The younger generation of wrestlers coming up through the ranks possesses something that Roman Reigns has lost somewhere along the way, and that something is hunger. These wrestlers are willing to take risks in the ring that Roman hasn't explored in years. They're cutting promos with authenticity that feels raw and unpolished and genuine in ways that Roman's carefully crafted speeches cannot match anymore. They're creating moments that people will remember and talk about for decades, because those moments came from a place of desperation rather than a place of guaranteed victory. Roman Reigns needs to strip away the carefully constructed Tribal Chief image and find the person underneath all of that authority. He needs to show vulnerability in ways that make the audience believe he could actually lose. He needs to acknowledge that everything he built could come crashing down if he doesn't evolve with the times. A complete reboot would mean abandoning the catchphrases that have lost their power and the entrance music that no longer sends shivers down anyone's spine. The commentary team has done everything possible to make Roman Reigns seem unstoppable, but that strategy has backfired spectacularly. When every single match feels like a foregone conclusion, viewers start fast-forwarding through those segments. They check their phones. They stop paying attention because there's no tension, no drama, and no real stakes. Roman Reigns became the wrestling equivalent of a car that runs perfectly fine but produces no excitement whatsoever. Imagine if Roman Reigns walked out to the ring without all of his ceremonial trappings and simply existed as a human being rather than as a force of nature. Imagine if he cut a promo that made the audience unsure of whether he was going to help someone or destroy them. Imagine if his matches had genuine moments where the other wrestler nearly caught him off guard, or where Roman had to dig deeper into his reservoir of strength than ever before. This version of Roman Reigns would create genuine intrigue and would make people want to see what happens next. The Tribal Chief character served its purpose magnificently, but that purpose has run its course, and continuing down the same road leads nowhere but stagnation. Wrestling fans are incredibly intelligent, and they recognize when they're being fed the same meal repeatedly without any variation or improvement. They start walking away from the product because there's nothing challenging them anymore, nothing surprising them, and nothing pushing them to come back next week to see more. Roman Reigns possesses the raw talent and physical ability to create one of the greatest comeback stories in wrestling history, but only if he's willing to completely deconstruct everything he's built and start from scratch. This doesn't mean losing his championships or disappearing from television. This means finding a new perspective on who he is as a performer and what he wants to say to the world through his wrestling. The beauty of a complete reboot lies in the potential for rediscovery. Fans who have grown tired of Roman Reigns might suddenly become interested again if he presents himself in a completely unexpected way. New fans who dismissed him as boring could find themselves captivated by a version of Roman that breaks all the rules he previously established for himself. The wrestling world could come to realize that they only thought they knew what Roman Reigns was capable of. Every single legendary wrestler has gone through multiple transformations throughout their career, because staying the same means becoming invisible. The greats understood that evolution is mandatory for survival in this business. Roman Reigns stands at a crossroads where he can either continue down the path of predictable dominance, or he can take a chance on reinvention that could elevate his entire legacy to heights he hasn't even imagined yet. This is the moment where Roman Reigns needs to look in the mirror and ask himself if he's satisfied with being good, or if he's hungry enough to be absolutely legendary. The answer to that question will determine whether we're watching the beginning of his greatest chapter or the slow fate of someone who refused to change when change was necessary. Don't miss the next video where we break down exactly what a Roman Reigns reboot could look like in tremendous detail, because the wrestling world is about to shift in ways nobody expects, so subscribe right now to never miss the biggest wrestling analysis videos that will keep you ahead of the conversation.